Hello everyone, Mege here. Very sick, sadly. I might be sneezing now and then. Well, I'm gonna cut the sneezes anyway from this recording. So, we got the new patch notes today. Very interesting version 2.01.0. So, we get the wu-lin faction and some changes, some very interesting changes to the gear stat system, you guys already know, and rolling, and that's very good. So, I'm gonna go over this and, share my thoughts on them. We start off right away with the new wu-lin heroes. So we have Tiandi, of course. They do detail what the heroes are kind of all about. So difficulty, what it's about, dodge attack specialist, adaptable fighting style, stuff like this. Of course, I'm gonna leave a link to this patch notes in the description as usual. So we have Shaolin, of course, Nasha and Zhang Jun. Then we're going down to Breach. Yeah, we have Breach, and I mean, we already know about Breach, right? We know that Breach is getting 3 maps, one for every base faction in the game, so wu-lin do not get a Breach map, at least for the moment. Then we get some details about Arcade mode, the exclusive mode that comes with the Season Pass, with the Marching Fire expansion. It's the only thing which you actually have to pay for if you want, is the new PvE mode, and it basically gives you, I think, 1 embossing, 1 ornament, and 1 battle outfit for each of the 22 heroes, beside, normal XP gain and steel gain. So that's pretty neat. Hopefully this will look pretty cool. They also detail how you unlock this. Yeah, it's kind of like a tournament. So you get a chance at unlocking this, and the higher the difficulty of the arcade mode you're playing, the arcade quest, I think they're called, the higher the chance. And of course it kind of prioritizes the hero you're playing. But for example, I guess if you have already unlocked the Warden one, and you play Warden, I guess it's gonna give you another hero, just like, ranked mode. Then we have the brand new perk system, which, in case you guys don't know, replaces gear stats completely. We won't have gear stats anymore, and that, in my opinion, is very good for a simple fact that there won't be any more revenge gear running around. So no more hitting the opponent 3 times on block and he gets revenge and, fights just drag on endlessly. So a quick refresher, just in case you don't know how perks work. Basically, every piece of equipment will give you points toward a specific perk. So say, for example, there is the sword perk and shield perk. For example, my helmet will give me, 3 points out of 100 for the sword perk, and 20 points out of 200, so it's not always the same amount, for the shield perk. Once you reach, the total, so you reach 100 for the sword, 200 for the shield, spread among all of your equipment pieces, then that perk activates. It's as simple as that. It's honestly very intuitive, and I think it's gonna be pretty fun to play with. Perks are kind of like, passive abilities. So for example, one perk gives you a little shield every time you are revived or you spawn into the game. So they're these kind of little things. They're overall, as a design, weaker than tier 1 Feats, so they won't be that that OP or broken. So we have some more quality of life changes here. Different rarity of equipment will grant different possible perks. So for example, ABC perks, they give a quick example here, will be given from the very beginning, like the lowest variety of equipment. And then you have, highest rarity giving some other perks, and also different combinations. But honestly, higher rarity perks don't always tie with more powerful ones. Like, that's what I could see from the beta test we had. And of course, all of our gear will be, transitioned into perk gear, and there is sort of a rule on how it works here. That's why I've been having my main heroes with 60 out of 60 stuff in their inventory. We also get to the super cool visual enhancements, of course. So, the new lightning textures, they showed this yesterday in the Warriors Den, looks amazing. Really very good job, devs. Of course, we also have advanced hero tactics, which is sort of a more specific tutorial for each hero. We should teach you more cool stuff, let's say more useful stuff, rather than just some generic, And this is a very good idea. Hopefully it's gonna be very good on, in practice as well. We also get the very cool new victory screen. So when a team wins, this is just in team-based mode, so it's not going to be in duel and brawls. When a team wins, the 4 heroes in the team will kind of strike a pose, as with the map in the background, and then victory to the orange team, attackers team, and everyone strikes a pose. And you can actually purchase different poses, so that's going to be very interesting. It's a new layer of customization, which I'm really interested into. They also had that they did remove end game animations, and I can see why. So that, between the new victory screen and endgame animation, the end of the match doesn't get overly long. But I'm gonna miss the little, cheesy ones where, they kind of hang the opponents or just throw the corpses down the cliff. A very neat change, custom match will now be on dedicated servers if there is more than one player. This might be very useful for competitive play. We'll get some more general changes, quality of life changes. You can check this specifically yourself with the link in the description. We also see that, every hero will receive new armor and weapons. Of course, as usual, they did show most of these yesterday as well. We're also getting a price cut for the original DLC heroes, so, Gladiator, Centurion, Shinobi, the original 6 DLC heroes from year 1. Their price is getting reduced from 15,000 steel to 10,000 steel, so a pretty sizable amount. So we now get to the improvements part. Fight balancing category, okay. Out of lock attacks on minions, that's not super important. You can use your out of lock attacks on minions and they don't stop. I guess this is going to be for breach. But what I'm really interested into is the rolls now have 300 milliseconds vulnerability to guard breaks at the start of their animation. This is huge. So this is a change that a lot of people wanted to see, and I'm very glad it's been implemented. 200 milliseconds vulnerability is, while seemingly pretty short, I believe kills completely a rock rolling, because you can just unlock and then go into a roll, since you can get guard broken, and I don't think you can react in 300 milliseconds. Also, I think this might make some mix-up more scary. I don't think rolling is gonna be really an answer anymore, even if you just roll away and not unlock roll. Like, for example, you see Raiders Fury, what's the name of the zone? I can't remember. And rolling right away, if you can feint into guard break, I'm not sure that's gonna work that much, honestly, and this is good. I like rolls, I think they should stay, but they really were too good as a defensive option, and you really don't want such strong defensive options. Of course, this will inevitably lead to some offensive options. For example, Warden's Shoulder Bash comes to mind, being very, very strong. But we'll see. I mean, once we have these general changes, I guess the devs can look at more specific heroes changes. So rolls are also getting a 200 milliseconds guard break vulnerability at the end of the roll, but you can still counter guard break. As the developers themselves say, this is to avoid, many times you have the guy rolling and you go for the guard break near the end of the roll, thinking you'll catch them, and you just bounce off and they get the guard break. That's very silly. That doesn't feel good. So this is to fix the little issue here. The full dodge unlock roll animation is 300 milliseconds longer, the same length as the double back dodge roll. So this is something I wasn't aware of, and basically going like the normal rolls were slower than unlocking to roll. And I didn't know. I'm glad it's being normalized, since unlock roll was already stronger than normal rolls, so it just makes sense for it to be the same speed at least. Couple more quality of life changes. Soldiers and pikemen now interrupt revived, execution, and interactions in general if they attack you. Makes perfect sense. And changing stance while activating revenge no longer removes the ability to unbalance attacking heroes. So when you activate revenge and ding, the opponents kind of bounce off. Sometimes it doesn't happen. It can be because you actually attacked, and that's normal, that's intended, or because you simply swapped guard. And that's stupid, honestly. It shouldn't have been like that, and I'm glad it's been changed. Now let's talk about Aramusha here, which is the only hero who's getting some personal balance changes in this patch. His damage across the board has been increased. Side heavy damage increased to 40, that's quite a lot from 30. It's the same damage as Warden top heavy, for example. Infinite top light damage increased to 16 from 12. So good so far, but not enough. All deadly feints attacks are normalized to 400 milliseconds. The sides were 500 milliseconds. This is very good. So deadly feints is when Aramusha uses an heavy from the same direction as the last attack, so either the side or top, because Aramusha has to go top sides, top sides. When he does, he can soft feint that heavy into into a light, which was for 400 from the top and 500 from the side. Now, being 400 from all directions, even though you kind of know it's coming, is still probably not gonna be reactable. We have some changes to the interaction. I'm not sure why this is, probably to avoid some weird infinite some people say that you can get stagger locked. I don't think that's the case, but maybe that's to avoid that ever happening. Infinite top light is now 400 milliseconds, was 400. Now, I know this is kind of a nerf. This is a nerf. And some people might say, why do you nerf Aramusha? Although they give an explanation for this. This is a change aimed at both low and high level play. And making Aramusha not have that 400 chain top light should help, and I can see it, honestly I can see it helping with average level play. At the same time, at top level play, I'm not a top level player, but anyway, if you see a top indicator from Aramusha, if it's 400 or 400, do you still have time to discern if it's an heavy, because it can be three things, right? It can be a top light, for 500 milliseconds now, top light. It can be a top heavy, and if you can already discern from these two, I would be surprised, but I guess some players at top level can. So I'm gonna wait for those kind of players' opinion. And it can also be, you know, an heavy finisher maybe, if it was, I don't know, if it was followed from something else. Heavy finisher, well, not really actually, but if it was an heavy finisher, you can also, you know, soft feint into 400 milliseconds from any direction. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I feel like what they're trying to do is good. A change which shouldn't affect top level too much, while having quite the effect at lower levels. So hopefully this will work out for Aramusha here. Also keep in mind that I really play Aramusha very rarely, and I don't really meet many Aramushas at all. So I'm really curious what you guys, you Aramusha mains out there, think about this, that are watching this video. Do leave a comment and let me know. Some more much needed changes. Feats balancing, because Feats, oh, some Feats are so broken, and you guys know it, right? So starting off with traps. Overall, traps are getting a standardized placement time. So you know the time you take to place the traps across all heroes. For example, I didn't know this, but for example, Raider took longer to place his bear trap compared to other heroes. So I guess that's a little neat change. And also, and this is I think very important, you can only place one trap at a time. When you place a second, the first one disappears. And I think this is good. I think this is a very good change, since traps are kind of obnoxious, and after a while, you know, you stay on a point, you have traps everywhere, and it gets kind of annoying. To compensate, some cooldowns were reduced though. Now moving to Arrow of Effect Feats. Igneous Ember, damage reduced, radius reduced, grenade throw reduced. I mean, I guess we can all agree with this. Grenades are pretty stupid. Bombbringer, as much as I love Bombbringer, Bombbringer is pretty stupid. Kiai, and in case you don't know, Kiai is the move, is the feat where Orochi and Shinobi, I think, kind of scream and make a move, and you get your stamina to 0. Takes a while to actually start regenerating. You also get blinded. It's a very strong feat. It's also not single target. It's actually an arrow effect. Pretty big. Cooldown increased to 60 seconds from 45. I still think it might be too much, considering how strong it is. And it now affects allies. I guess this is good. This can be good. Like, you gotta be more careful at least on when to use it. Feel like this might be still too strong for a tier 1 feat. Pug the Mortis, more grenade nerf, so damage nerf, radius nerf, cooldown increased, launch time. This is good. I mean, I don't think anyone can argue with this being good. Arrow Strike being buffed. Since, I mean, we know Arrow Strike is kind of lackluster. Trigger 600 milliseconds into animation from 1,100. That's quite the... It's a 500 milliseconds different, pretty big. Damage reduced, of course. We don't want this to be the new grenade and stuff. Radius increased. Very interesting. Probably gonna be usable now. Catapult is being given a much longer time to react, from 1,200 up to 2,000. I guess this will make it still very strong. It's still one shots, for example. Still has quite a large area. But at the same time, you're gonna have to use it more cleverly. Like, you can't just use it as soon as the opponent has thrown an attack, because they can't dodge it. Maybe after, when the opponent is in recovery or something like that. Or maybe where they are unaware. We'll see how this plays out. Fiat lags, radius reduced from 4 to 3 meters. All good. Buffs and debuffs, some more OP feats, boys. Chilling Stare, oh boy, Chilling Stare is so broken, man. Defense debuff is lowered from 50%, to 50% from 25, good. Attack debuff is removed, cooldown increased to 120 seconds from 90. Very good, I'm all for these nerfs, honestly. We have some more nerfs to Doom Banner here. Fury itself, kind of similar nerfs, duration. Shield Basher damage reduced to 6 from 10, and I agree, Shield Basher is kind of a broken feat, honestly. Unblockable, cooldown increased to 150, great, duration decreased. This is good, since Unblockable is kind of a broken feat, especially in 4v4 on Kensei, with his fast attacks. I think this is good. Sharpen Blade as well is getting a nerf. Cooldown increased to 150 from 120. Active duration to 20, just like Kensei, is kind of being standardized here. Bleed damage, I'm sorry, I can't aid in my words here. Bleed damage reduced to 5 damage from 10. So with the new perk system, we're getting some revamped costs for crafting. I didn't go through all of them. At the first impression, seems like it's gonna be cheaper to actually craft and, you know, change the look of stuff, which is, it's always welcome, right? We also have some other minor improvements here. Matchmaking, when you actually exit out of matchmaking and get back into matchmaking, all modes, there is a 5 minutes timer, let's say, well, you cannot be meshed with the same people you just meshed with. That's great. I mean, I know a lot of people, don't, when you exit matchmaking, you probably don't want to be put into the same match again, right? And this also applies to the find your opponent feature. So supposedly this feature now works how it should. Voice chat is now activated by default to open. Not sure how I feel about this. I'm probably gonna turn it off, but I guess. Visible allies health bar. Move the camera to see the health and stamina bar of allies within range. This is pretty important since sometimes, unless you're locked on, you can't really see how much HP or stamina your allies have. Unless, it might glow, their name might glow, or the emblem, I think. So, they're low on health. But beside that, this is a pretty nice quality of life change. With penalties being re-enabled, map vote can be changed. You can change your vote, stuff like this. Then we have some bug fixes. I'm kind of scrolling through these very quickly. I'm not sure if there is some big bug fixes here, but I can't really think of any huge bug that's plugging the game right now, so probably not. Close to the end, we have the changes from open test to the new heroes. They talked about this yesterday in the Warriors Den, but just in case, you can check this out. It's mostly buffs to all the the wu-lin heroes. So I'm pretty happy about this. Hopefully this is gonna be enough to make them, more competitive. We have some changes to the amount of XP gained, and which is huge. This is something I've been actually asking for a lot, since I really think Breach, it's very fun. It also needs to give enough XP and steal, since it lasts very long. Because a lot of people play Dominion. I mean, I know Dominion is fun, but I'm sure a lot of people play it because it's the best way to level up as well. So we see some increased XP and steal gain right now. We'll see if it's enough once it's live. I mean, until we have it down, I wouldn't know. Some balancing changes, perks, whatever. Kind of, general stuff here. Anyway, we've gotten to the bottom of the article. Very interesting stuff. Very, very hype about rolls. Very hype about rolls. It's really gonna change, I think, how the game plays, at least in duels mostly. I'm very interested in Aramusha. Not sure if it's gonna be enough. Again, Aramusha mains, do come forward, let me know. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this little going through these patch notes. Gonna see you all next time. Hopefully, as soon as I get better. I've been sneezing quite a lot. I've been cutting to the video. When I get better, streaming again, boys. So, as usual, follow me on Twitter, Facebook. Join my Discord server to know when I go live. Hope you all have a good day. Gonna see you all next time.